This is part 3, and in this video I'm making my tiles for my Mixed Media Mosaic. I used a stamp from Stamp Pendus, and I stamped on a file folder because I like the soft color of it, and because I didn't want to use a real stark white scrapbook paper. So now I'm just cutting out the little piece that I stamped, and I'm going to start coloring it. And I'm using Faber-Castell watercolor pencils. This is the first time I've ever used them, and I really like them. Putting a little green in the leaves in her hair and a little red on lipstick, and I'm shading the dress. And after I shade it, I'm going to wet a paintbrush and paint over it, and it blends the colors and really makes it pop. I love that. And right here I'm just using a wet paintbrush and taking some color off the tip of the pencil. I'm going to put a little blush on her face, and doing the same thing with green so I can color around the collar part of her dress to match the leaves. And this is an orange pencil, and I'm just highlighting her hair, and it just gave the color of her hair more depth. Here's a little blue for some eyeshadow, and I'm using a Jelly Roll pen here to highlight the little dots. And using some stickles on what looks like to me fairy dust. And I used the white diamond stickles, and here I'm using the gold stickles around the collar of her dress. Yeah, that looks pretty good. This is what it looks like. I didn't have a video on it. I cut it out, mounted it on some chipboard, and Mod Podged some acrylic to the top, and then used my Sharpie to edge around the side. And these little pieces here are fuzzy cut out of the paper. It's Once Upon a Springtime. And I layered some chipboard and mounted these little stamps on here. So right now I'm just adding the little tissue papers that I made with some music notes and script, Mod Podging them on, and then I'm going to Mod Podge the acrylic on top of that. And I'll cut them out after it dries. This is a chipboard that I gessoed and tore pieces of dictionary paper, Mod Podged it on. The pretty pink flowers came from a napkin that I added to it, and some scrapbook paper, some ribbon, and some washi tape, and then I just ran over it with some gesso. And this is some chipboard that I'm adding some gesso to it. And this chipboard is cereal box or cracker box that I cut and layered and glued, and that's what I'm using. So these are pieces of dictionary pages, and I'm just going to gesso those on and trim out the edges. I didn't have the video going when I started putting these stamps on, so I apologize. I don't know the names of all of them, but what I'm doing here is just stamping on that little piece, and I'm going to make little tiles out of that. And this right here is a lamp post, and I'm just going to use the very tip of it and cut them out in squares. And I also we'll add another layer of chipboard to give them more dimension. it's a lot easier to cut these now at this thickness, and when I add that other layer of chipboard, it's so thick and really hard to cut, so that was the reason why I did it this way. I don't use all the tiles that I make, but I did use some of them, and but that's not a problem. I can always use them in another project as well. And I'm using my Memento Dewdrop to add some color, and that's what I'm doing here. The pink color is called Angel Pink, and the next color is called Cantaloupe. I really do like it. In fact, I started to just use it on one tile and I liked it, so I decided to do it on another. And the green is called Bamboo Leaves. Okay, I'm going to add some stickles to different parts of each tile just to give it a little more dimension. And I like sparkly. Here's a close-up. So it looked pretty good. And I like it, you can still see some of the script in the background. I distress the edges with my StazOn ink, and before I put the acrylic on top, I'll do the edges with my black Sharpie. And so right here I'm adding glossy accents. I'm using a pop top to kind of smooth it out. And I do the glossy accents on a couple of them, and I decided to try the idea I learned from Saw Crafters, and she used hot glue to cover her project or whatever tile it was she was working on. And it was kind of tricky. You really have to be careful because the glue is so hot. It's really pretty while it's wet, but I do notice that after it dries, it kind of gives it a cloudy look. It's not quite as clear as glossy accents. Well, thanks for hanging around, and the next video that I put up will be the finished mosaic, and I appreciate all of you watching and commenting. And all these videos are strictly for showing the process that I went through. I'm not claiming anything in particular that I did on my own. So anyway, thank you for watching. Have a good day, and check out the finished product. Thank you. Bye.